Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the beautiful Ritz-Carlton in the Cayman Islands, where every day it's a beautiful day. Let's Get Loud is coming to you live from here. And our guest, Jolene Ramos, and her husband is joining us to share their journey together on her diagnosis with brain cancer that started with her son, Kaden, who you heard from in the first episode about how mom had shakens, like she was not going to wake up, and he just kept hugging on her and loving on her until she came back. And her diagnosis of the brain cancer, her episode with COVID, her allergic reaction to the medication she got for the seizures. And today you're going to hear about her journey from the Cayman Islands to the United States to get the necessary treatment that had to be done to get this team member, as her husband so aptly described it. One team member was down, and we're going to work together to get her back up. You will hear how this family got together and got this team member to be sharing her story with us today. So thank you for joining us. Ramos are here again. Buenos dias. Yes. Let's start the journey.
Yeah.
From Cayman to Minnesota. Woo!
So I was still in the hospital.
Mhm.
Then I got the call saying that I was going to be leaving, that the insurance had booked my flight for me.
Mhm.
So I then had to start making all the arrangements
Mhm.
because I was still a inpatient at the hospital
Okay.
from the allergic reaction.
Yeah. So you did what you do best, get on the
Yeah.
phone and do
Mhm.
things. Okay.
Start organizing. Yeah, that was me.
Kayla helped as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Kayla, that's your daughter
That's
in the
the oldest
States,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she had made some arrangements. So at Cayman Airways, we sorted out, paid for the ticket because
Mhm.
Kaden had to go with us.
Okay.
So, because we knew that Kayla would be the best person
To
to take care of him while we left our 21-year-old Casey here at the time because she was working at Kurt's Market.
Okay.
So she had a job
Mm.
and she could take care of the house and
Okay.
all the dogs and the cat and everything else that's in the house.
Right.
So it was, again, like he said, it was a team effort.
Right.
And the body played a crucial role.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what's your role, coach?
My role is the leader of the pack.
Leader of the pack. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us what happened with you, with the journey from here now to the
Yeah.
States.
Yeah. So we got a Cayman Airways flight.
Mhm.
Was booked, but they could only get us to Miami. And my hospital was Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota.
Okay.
So we then had to make our own arrangements to get from Miami to Minnesota.
Okay. So Mayo Clinic, do they specialize in this kind of cancer?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
They specialize in all types of cancers.
All types.
Mhm.
Okay.
They have a specialist for just about everything.
Wow.
#1 hospital in the United States.
The number one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And little old me got to go.
Little old you. Come on now.
Yes.
It was special.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Dr. James because he arranged it all.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. James from here arranged it all. He told me, he said, "Jolene, I have to be your advocate for this." He said, "I'm your doctor and I have to advocate for you. And that is the best place for you, given what you have." You
So
know?
when he said he was your advocate, he worked with what, the insurance?
Yes, and the chief
Okay.
medical officer
Oh,
to
wow.
get me off. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you,
And the
Dr.
insurance-
James.
Yes, thank you, Dr. James.
Nice.
And so we got to Miami. So of course, my daughter said, "Mommy, I can only get you as far as Iowa,
Okay.
which is the state next
State
to
next
her,
to, mhm.
next to Nebraska where she lives.
Oh,
But she
okay.
lives in the
That was
Midwest.
when the
Yeah.
riots were going on as well.
Oh,
We
wow.
were going, we were in Minnesota where the riots were for George.
For George.
Mhm.
Oh my God, you were in the height of everything.
Yeah, everything.
Jolie.
Yeah, we didn't ask for it, but yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So to journey with us. Yes, Mr.
So that's why
Ramos.
we couldn't fly straight into Minnesota because
Oh.
of the riots there, and then we had to drive through a certain area.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
Yeah, some in Minneapolis side.
Right.
And yeah, that was the main reason why we couldn't fly straight in, and the cost too.
Mhm.
So we decided, Kayla decided, volunteered to drive us from one section to the other.
So you flew from Miami though to
To Iowa.
Iowa.
Oh, and then my daughter drove because she stays in Nebraska.
Right.
She drove the 3.5 hours to pick us up in Iowa. Her and her husband,
Wow.
who was her fiance.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, she got married. Nice, Kayla. Congratulations. Uh-huh. So she drove, yeah.
She drove.
Or
the-
they drove.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
3.5 hours to come and get us from that airport in Iowa, and then drive an additional 3 hours to take us from Iowa to Minnesota,
Wow.
and then they stayed with us for like 2-3 days,
Okay.
just so we could buy up groceries and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Since we weren't going to rent a car, we didn't know how long we were going to be
Right,
there.
right.
So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kayla, for doing that.
Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
So now you're at the hospital, right?
We get to Minnesota
Mhm.
after the long drive,
Right.
and even though we know who we were supposed to see and all that,
Mhm.
no doctors would see us because of COVID. I had to do a COVID test first before any doctor would even give me the appointment.
So where did you go to do it? At the same hospital?
Same hospital.
Yeah, they have
They
different
have the
sections.
facility.
Mhm.
So you go there, you get your blood drawn, they check for antibodies to see if you ever had COVID before, and then they do the nasal thing for making sure you don't have it at this moment.
And that's where, when you alluded to in the last episode, that they
That's
confirmed
what
that
we
she
found
never had
They never had
COVID.
any
Never had it
antibodies.
at
Yeah.
all.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, all right.
I had no antibodies for it. So.
Okay. So after everything came back,
Mhm.
then what happened?
And everything. Then I started to get appointments, and they were like sometimes 3 and 4. So the first one was with Dr. Ruff, his name, Ruff.
Really?
He's
Okay.
a neuro-oncologist, and he was so intrigued by my rash that he referred me.
So you
So-
still had a rash when you were
Yeah.
there?
Mhm.
Wow.
So basically, I had to leave the hospital where I was an inpatient,
Mhm.
get my bandage cut off, and rush to the hospital and to the airport and run in. Luckily, he had already explained to the girl at the airport that
Right.
I was coming. I was a patient in a hospital, and they were waiting to discharge me so that I could get on the flight
Okay.
to Miami.
This
Yeah.
is interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then we moved from there. So we did all the seeing Dr. Ruff. He was intrigued with the whole rash thing. He couldn't understand why it was continuing to spread because I was showing him that down by my ankles it
Right.
was starting to go further down. I showed him pictures like just when I was in the hospital when it first started, where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Told him what he had done and whatever. And he said he didn't like how that looked, and he sent me to a dermatologist. And they put me on the table, and they were intrigued by how it had spread and were continuing to spread.
Wow.
So they asked me if I mind doing a photo shoot.
What?
So
So you became a model?
and make model because they needed to see how the pattern
Oh, wow.
was going. So
Yeah,
they
right.
put me in a room and they did all that, strip you down, take pictures of your whole body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Jolene, you.
And then she said she just wanted to do a biopsy
Mm-hmm.
on the new parts
Mhm.
that were starting to spread. So she took one from off my shin, and then she took one from the inside of my arm here.
And
But that was where we got the real help, though. That
Yeah.
was diagnosing what it was
Mhm.
and what medication to give and what medication is
Yeah.
working, what
Mhm.
medication is
Yeah.
not working.
Mhm.
And thankfully, it always gotten closer and closer to finally getting it sorted.
Contained,
Yeah,
right.
contained. Yeah, because like I said, she really went through some. This is like no sleep. You're going into an operation where
Right.
somebody's gonna cut open your skull and do what they have to
Mhm.
do, and you have no rest from Grand Cayman, with this rash keeping you up at night, and you trying not to scratch it, and
Right.
and cold chills
Yeah.
and everything else, and just trying to deal with that before the set date of the medication. That alone was stressful. Not knowing, going in for cancer treatment, and you're dealing with it with a
Rash.
and dealing with the uncertainty afterwards of being paralyzed.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was hard. It was really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
But
She
she
in the hospital
she was
for
strong,
days.
and we just took it one day at a time.
One day at a
We had
time.
no time to collapse. We were there to get her
Mm.
better, get our operation,
Mhm.
and move forward and see how much more time we can buy.
No time to collapse.
No
Yeah.
time.
Wow. Ramos team.
Mhm.
Mhm. So after they gave you the diagnosis for the skin rash,
Yeah.
then what happened?
Then basically,
I have some. Mm.
they said that it was
You can-
that it was an allergic reaction.
Mm.
They confirmed. They said it was weird that the medication that they were giving me that I alluded to earlier that was
Mhm.
making my skin feel like it was crawling.
Crawling, yeah.
Yes, she said that would have been what they would have probably given as well.
Okay.
But she said on like steroids for your skin,
Mhm.
that's like at the very top. Say it's grade 1 to 5.
Okay.
That's like a 5. So she said the only thing she could do at that point and would be to downgrade to
Down.
4
Mm.
and see if maybe that offered a little bit of help because
Okay.
maybe it was just too strong for me.
Mm.
And that's what we did. And that
And
kind of
that
helped
helped.
along with the TLC of putting on all the Kenalog and was it what they call again? Wet bandaging. Yeah.
Wow. You enjoy that, eh?
Need that help?
You need that now.
Yeah.
Let's see if you have any rash, eh?
No,
Let's see. No,
Mosquito
no
bite, I
rash.
had a mosquito bite the other
it
day.
does not. It does not.
And then they
Don't convince her.
Oh wow. So what happened after that?
so we met with Dr. Rafa, did the biopsy on my skin,
Okay.
and then they sent me over to Dr. Meyer
Okay.
for who would have been the neurosurgeon
Mm.
because there's specialists for everything.
Everything.
So the neurosurgeon would be the one who would be actually doing the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had some difficulties opening like the scans and stuff that they had sent over.
Okay.
Finally, he got an IT person to resolve it. Thank you, IT people.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Thank
so we
God for
didn't
them.
have to wait on that again.
Right.
And then he explained to me that
Mm.
where it was very much like what Dr. James had said here.
Okay.
It's resting
So
on
they
that.
they aligned, eh?
Yeah. So that, there's this chance that I would be, paralyzed.
So
on
how
that side.
how did you feel when you heard that news?
Well, I looked at percentages and he did as well.
Okay.
Because there was a small percentage that would happen. I think he told something like 12 to 18%.
Okay.
chance.
Okay.
So
12 out of 100.
Yeah.
That left you with 88.
yeah. So I said
Okay.
to my husband, I said, when I was in college, if anybody said to me, you got 88% chance of sitting a test, whether I said it or not, I would have sat the test.
I love it. I just love how you just use these analogies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when we were told about the
Wow.
low percentage, that's just low percent. That couldn't be us.
Yeah.
Oh
That couldn't
wow.
be my wife.
Look at
No,
that.
man.
88%.
Yeah.
You sit the test anyway,
Yeah.
even if you didn't study.
Yep.
Wow. I love it.
You almost feel like if something bad is going to happen to you,
Mhm.
it couldn't possibly be your family.
Right.
It has to be another, for some
Someone
weird
else.
reason, it's someone else's family that could possibly
Right.
happen.
But not yours.
Yeah.
You wanted to be
Not person.
corrected
Right.
later. down the line.
Mm.
It was hard.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then.
Yeah. So he gave us percentages, and then he said, well, he would have liked to have done the surgery that weekend, which would have
Oh,
been
wow.
the July the 4th, because nobody was really celebrating July the 4th.
Ah, nice. Okay.
At the time, they said his hours, I think they can only have a certain amount
Not
of work and
mhm.
operating hours or
Right.
something.
Right.
And his nurse said, no, you're not going to be able to. You need to have this time. So he said, okay, then
Done
he set it
time.
then
Mhm.
for the 6th of July.
Okay. Okay.
And that was
So your anniversary is coming up.
I was talking about that yesterday,
Oh.
actually.
Oh. Gosh,
Yeah.
1 year later, you're still sitting here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on the 6th of July, what happened?
So leading up to the 6th, we
Mhm.
decided we were going to change hotels and be closer to the
Okay,
actual
because I
hospital.
wanted to ask you that if you were staying at a hotel or you were staying at if the hospital provided.
No, we
No.
had to stay in a hotel, and then we had to pay for it all up front because insurance don't pay for it until we come back and clean. We were
Okay,
there for
thank God you had money
help.
and help.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
And
But you had people who helped, or
yes, we did.
you want to
I-
thank those people
Yes,
now?
absolutely. Thank you, Cayman National Bank. Thank
Wow.
you, Cayman Islands government. Thank you, Cynical.
Wow.
Thank you all for all that you've done, my friends, my family, for all being there,
Mm.
contributing, big or small.
Right.
We're thankful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you moved to another hotel?
Yeah, we moved to one that would be directly across from the hospital. That
Oh,
way it would
good.
be easy to go back and forth.
Right.
And
Thank God it was July too, because you
Yeah.
know up there gets cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cold.
it
I was cold anyway.
They were cold anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved hotels. Like
Mhm.
that was the day before this. Sure, July 4th we moved. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. My daughter had to leave and go back.
Right.
And she left and went back as well.
Okay.
And taken Kaden with her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, then got a mini holiday.
Mm-hmm.
No, precious. In the height of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, actually did.
Yeah.
To see Mount Rushmore. Took me to see Mount Rushmore.
Really? I did that 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So do you look at that? Everything, there's
Yes.
always something in
It was
everything.
like,
Something positive.
Yeah.
and that's why, like we thought about doing sorry, I have to look up my
That's okay.
But yeah, and then going into the surgery the day, we were saying, and people kept calling me saying, I'm hoping everything's okay
Mhm,
with you. How are
mhm.
you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my husband, I said, I don't even feel worried. I don't feel stressed.
Wow.
Because before that,
Mm.
the last interview we did, I told you I decided to change my life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the day that they sent me home to pack my bags, this hospital knew I was being flown off.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me the day before my flight, which my flight was on May the 14th.
No, man, not me. Because
June
now
the,
in
June the
June.
19th is
Mhm.
when we left.
Okay.
And then we went to Miami.
Right.
And then I decided to, so the day that they sent me home to pack my bags for the hospital,
Wow.
get on a flight the next day, I decided, I called Felix Manzanares and I said, Felix, this is what I want to do. He said, Jolene, I will do that for you in a heartbeat.
Wow.
And he said, you can just come to my house. We have a saltwater pool. I'll baptize you there.
Wow.
And I went, didn't, I tell you how anxious I was to do that. I didn't even take extra clothes, a towel, nothing. I walked into the hospital, back to the hospital in soaking wet clothes, the clothes I was baptized in.
Okay
Went back
then.
into my room.
Wow.
And my husband, he's like, how are you going to walk back in there? So I said, well, it's going to be done. And you couldn't even walk into the hospital because you had to call security to come and get you
Right.
to take you back inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting out there in the car, wet, waiting for this man to come to get me.
Wow. So
That
you yielded your hard head
Mhm.
to the
Yes.
Lord, and He directed the path.
Yes.
Right after that, and He's
Yes.
still directing the path,
Still,
and you're still here.
I'm still here.
All right. So now we're back in Minnesota, and we're
Yes.
going in for surgery.
Yes, we went in for surgery.
No fear.
No fear.
No
I mean,
fear.
I was tired. They were
Yeah.
around the rash,
No
kept me
sleep.
up and
Yeah.
no sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have no fear. I tell people all the time it sounds weird, but I felt at peace. And I prayed that night. And that I prayed for everybody that would be a part of my care team. I didn't care who it was. To the very people who came in and swept the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed for them and I
Thank
said,
you.
God, please speak to their hearts. Not only speak to their hearts, but have their hearts open to hear what you're saying to them and to do as you're asking.
You want to tell our viewers that too, Jolie?
Yes, please. I'm going to tell you, if God is knocking on your door, to take time to answer. I know life can get hectic and crazy at times, but life is very short. Okay, I was not expecting at 45, not even 45, 44 to be diagnosed with brain cancer. Okay, I'm not pushing Christianity or any religion on anyone at this time, but I can speak from my experience that when I accepted God into my heart, things were different for me.
Amen.
It was like a journey has been set out for me, and I'm just walking along on that journey, and He's providing the strength that I need. He's providing my husband the strength that he needs to cope with me as well. He's given my children resilience that I'm praying for each and every day. And
Only God. Only
Yes.
God does these things.
Yes.
Only God.
yes,
Only God. So yes, so you're walking into the valley of the shadow of death and you're fearing no evil. Talk to us about that.
yes. So the morning went by very, very quickly. We walked in, we walked across the hotel. I mean, it was like, what time we had to be here? 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock.
So you're literally walking.
Yeah, walking on the sidewalk at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the hospital. We even got there early.
Wow.
Who gets there early for operation? I don't know.
Jolene.
Yeah.
We were surprised there were actually a line of other people.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
waiting,
outside
getting.
the walking room.
The hospital is so big, right, that they had to make like three different buildings, like big, huge buildings. We're talking about, I don't know,
The
20
size
stories?
yeah.
20
Wow.
stories, yeah.
Massive.
And a lot of different doctors. And so other people are there for different types of surgery. And yeah, so we were surprised to see a line at so early in the morning, and everybody's going for the same reason to get surgery. It
Wow.
was, yeah, it's really an eye opener because over here we're so caught up in just seeing the small hospital. But when you get over
Right.
there, you realize that there's so many other sick people in
Yeah.
this world,
Of
Wow.
all ages, of all nationalities,
Yeah.
of all
young and
young,
old.
old,
Yeah.
skin color doesn't matter.
Mm.
None of that matters. Age don't matter.
Everybody's at the hospital
Everybody's there.
for something,
Babies, yeah.
for surgery, for something. All right, so let's continue the journey now.
And then we got there. They wheeled me, and they kind of told him, I remember that much, telling him he didn't have to stay.
Mhm.
That his phone would get text messages
Oh.
throughout my surgery
Wow.
and my
Yeah, they
outcome.
would
Yeah.
say she's going into the hospital room. She's being administered
Anesthesia.
anesthesia.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I was in my hotel room watching TV, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It really is helpful. It's
Wow.
less stressful. You don't have to be there like 10 hours. That was really, in your own comfort zone.
Right.
You can eat, you can
Yeah.
feed yourself,
Right.
and just relax.
Relax and wait.
So,
And,
yeah.
and then they're
Oh
like,
my
oh, she's
God.
coming out of the hospital. She's doing well. She's doing real good. She just, doctors are monitoring her. She's sleeping. She's still doing good. Yeah, it was really good. And then finally they send one last text and say, okay, you can come to she's about to come out of the
Intensive care.
intensive care. You can come into the waiting room. And if they would clear you, you'll make sure that when you go there, you say the name, you say the patient's name, and they say, okay, you go and sit down up here. And just go into the waiting room. I think I had to wait a little bit longer though, because she was having a little problem with pain, which
Okay.
is common. Someone just cut open your
Slice
skull.
Right.
And so they still had to monitor her. Still continue monitoring her. So I still had to wait a little bit longer. But while I was waiting there, you have to look at life from all points of view.
Right.
God puts people in your way.
Yeah, he does, eh? Provides.
So, coincidentally, I was there in the waiting room and I was speaking to this other gentleman, just, created a conversation. And he
Right.
said that his wife also had a brain tumor, and, he's been battling it for the last 1 or 2 years, and they found something in her skull that might have been, but then turned out to be nothing but scar tissue or
Okay.
something like that. But speaking to him, asking him what he's going through and what he's been through, and how did he cope with it,
Right.
and he told me that he's aged in the last 2 years because it's been such a burden on him. And but I just wanted to know, because like I said, you don't have no we didn't have no family members, no friends, no one to talk to. And so yeah, for me it was a good feeling to know that other people have been through it,
Right.
learned how to cope with it,
Right.
and they're still fighting it
Right.
with their partner.
Right.
So for me, that was, that felt good to know that, just hang tight and just go with it.
Go with it.
Yeah, because I was always thinking the worst. I was like, well, what could possibly happen? Which, when we come across Google, we did find out, some people died 6 months later. And my goal was like, how long does this person live with this situation? And thankfully we found some people have gone on more than 5 years, more than 6 years, but it's difficult because you're trying to find the exact same thing in the exact same location with the exact same diagnosis.
DNA,
And it doesn't exist.
Because you know why it doesn't exist, and this is a new thing I've discovered, that although God works and does something for you, he won't do the same for me. Because he's not the God who repeats. So he cured somebody else from brain cancer through a doctor. He won't cure you the same way. He might just take care of it himself, or your situation might be that that person lived 5 years after, but your life has just begun because you have a complete miracle. Because not everybody miracle is the same. No two miracles are the same. You can walk away without a scratch, and somebody else in the same exact situation, and they die, and you wonder, okay, because your purpose, your life path, His plans for you have only just begun. Because your hard head was drilled into, and now He can speak to you. And that's why you're here. Right here, sharing your story. Right? So sometimes we look at others and say, okay, they live 5 years. I wonder if I'm going to live 5 years. I probably have 50 years to go. And this will just be His attention. He had to drill into that head to get your attention. Your heart. All right, so you went into this surgery by yourself, yeah? How was that?
Well, up until they put me to sleep, I just remember them doing another MRI just to make sure. And I remember them putting like little marks on my head.
So they had shave off your
I made my daughter cut my hair before I went in.
Oh, Kayla?
Yeah.
No.
So I had that already shaved off.
Okay, so you were prepared.
Yeah.
And then your daughter Kayla, right? We're talking about God and how He provides, because you said the gentleman. And what are the percentage that Kayla would be living in Nebraska? Of all the states that Caymanians end up going, Nebraska, right? And staying in Nebraska.
Exactly.
God always provides.
And that's what I tell people, like, this feels like, I don't want to say my brain cancer was fun or a vacation in any way, but it was almost like everything was planned out for me. Because when I even told him, when Kayla said she wanted to be a teacher, people discouraged her from being a teacher.
Wow.
And she said, Mommy, that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And then when she went to Nebraska, people were like, why do you want to go so far? And then when she decided not to come back home right away, she was going to stay there and work and get experience that she can't get here. Her father, well, people said, why should I stay over there for? Come back home. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't miss her. I missed her.
Yeah.
That's
your baby.
Yeah. They're all my babies.
Oh, precious. Well, that's the first one you held.
Yeah. First one I carried. First
right.
One I held.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's just such a kind-hearted person. She's in the right field, doing the right things with her life. And I said to him, you know, I don't think that's the way to go. If she see an opportunity there for her, then let her be.
Yeah.
You know, she's young. She has a lot ahead of her.
Yeah.
Let her do what she can do.
Yeah. Let her follow her passion, her purpose. See, she has started living her purpose. You have only just begun.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that's another part of your purpose because your purpose is big, right?
Yeah.
But look at that.
So, and her being in the right place at the
right time.
In the right field.
Yes.
Because she was off for the summer, because we went in July, so she could watch
Look at
Kaden.
that.
Everything worked.
If she weren't a teacher, right?
She wouldn't have been there for him.
Wouldn't have been there.
Yeah. And he needed it.
He needed it.
He
needed it. Your little angel needed all of that. Oh, precious. This is a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point
Yes.
to end this episode on, because it just shows how God orchestrates our lives. He plans our life.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand. He plans our lives. He knew us before. He planned it out. So He knows. He works with the end in mind, right?
Yes.
So He put your daughter there. You were diagnosed with brain cancer, what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
He knew exactly that, hey, Kayla needs to be in Nebraska. You know, this is what needs to be done, and this is how it's going to be done.
Because even when she chose University of Nebraska, we were like, where are you going? And she was like, well, Mommy, like, I want to have experiences. I want to be able to see all the seasons. We don't get that in Cayman, obviously.
Look at that.
And I want to be, I mean, no offense to Caymanians, because we are Caymanians,
Right.
but she said, I don't want to be where anybody else from Cayman is, because then you don't go out and meet new people. You don't learn from no one else. You just find a person you're comfortable with who has similarities to you, and then you don't move outside of that box.
Right.
Yeah. So she was very open-minded from
Jump, Kayla.
Yeah.
I love it. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having us today.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. You heard it from Jolene's own mouth. When God knocks, when He knocks, answer. Answer. Because He's the one who holds your time, He's the one who can pull your time. But your time wasn't yet. And He hasn't called in. The final whistle hasn't blown yet, girl. A coach has said, the coach, oh yeah.
I love that little kid song.
He's
still working on
He's
me.
still working on you.
Yeah, to make me what I ought to be.
There you go.
Took him yesterday to make the moon and the stars, the earth and the sun and Jupiter and Mars. But he's still working on me.
Still working on you. Because you're His handmaid.
Yes.
You're His.
He's molding.
He's molding you. Oh yeah, girl. He's just easing out them patches, smoothing you out, putting in that spare part in your brain that He alone has.
Yeah.
Nobody else has it. Because you sitting here sharing your story, how many people have done that? But God to be praised. So people, thank you so much for joining us yet again. And like you heard, if you hear the knock, answer the call, because it's time for you. So until next week, live from the Ritz-Carlton in the Cayman Islands, where every day it's a beautiful day. It's Let's Get Loud. And we thank you so much for joining us this week. And again, please share this video with someone. Someone needs to hear this story. Someone needs to know there's hope. Someone needs to know that family is key and we need to support each other. And we need to know that God has already provided. So until next week, thank you for joining us. Let's get loud.